What happens when a CEO goes undercover, and the only person who treats him with kindness is the one being laughed at for being sick? Travis Gentry stood outside the back entrance of the 11th store in the fast casual chain he bought 6 years ago. The cold morning wind whipped through his hoodie as he adjusted the faded baseball cap pulled low over his forehead. This was his third undercover visit in as many weeks. 17 stores across the state, and lately, something had started to feel off. He didn't rely on reports anymore. Too polished. Too filtered. Numbers looked fine. Reviews were mixed. But what got him was a handwritten letter from a customer who said her server was so kind, she cried in her car after the meal. It's rare to meet someone who cares like that, she'd written. The name? She didn't remember. Just that it was a younger guy, kind of pale, worked the evening shift at store 11. That was enough for Travis. He'd never met most of the hourly staff, no reason they would recognize him. When he bought the chain, it was already branded under a corporate name, with layers of management between him and the floor teams. His disguise was solid: grown-out facial hair, fake glasses, uniform shirt with someone else's name stitched on it, Kyle. The district manager had arranged a new hire trial through a fake local agency, something Travis set up with his assistant. No one here knew who he really was. At 9:05, the back door creaked open. You the new guy? A tall woman with a clipboard squinted at him. You're late. Sorry, missed the bus, Travis said, voice low. Whatever.
I'm Heather.
I manage this store. Don't fall behind. We're short 2 people today. Again. She yanked the door open fully and waved him in. Inside, the smell of fryer oil clung to the air. Staff moved fast, prepping for the lunch rush. Travis scanned faces. No one fit the letter's description. He kept his head down, pushing crates of supplies, wiping down counters, doing whatever Heather barked at him. Around noon, a thin young man with dark circles under his eyes walked in, tugging on his apron. He paused to cough into his elbow before clocking in. Heather rolled her eyes.
Zane.
You look like death. Again. I'll be okay, he said, his voice hoarse. You said that yesterday. I'm not paying you to cough on customers. Travis watched as Zane moved to the dish station. His hands shook slightly as he loaded trays. He didn't complain. Didn't talk back. Just worked. During a quick break, Travis walked over. You all right? Zane looked up, surprised.
Yeah. Just a flu or something.
No insurance. Can't really afford to miss work. He tried to laugh, but it turned into another cough. Travis handed him a bottled water. Thanks, Zane said, voice soft. You're new, right?
Yeah, Travis said. Kyle. Zane.
Welcome to hell. They both chuckled. Then Zane winced and leaned against the counter for support. Sweat beaded on his forehead. You need to sit, Travis said, concerned. I'll be fine. If I stop now, Heather'll send me home. I need the hours. A few minutes later, Travis caught Heather near the walk-in cooler. Hey, Zane's not doing great. He should maybe go home. Heather turned, snorting. What? Are you his mom? No, it's just he looks really sick. She laughed loud enough for the prep crew to hear. You've been here 5 minutes and you're already trying to play hero? Let me guess, you 2 bonded over wiping tables? Travis didn't respond. He just looked at her. Heather waved him off. If he's dying, he can leave. But I'm not short-staffing my line again, because someone's got the sniffles. Travis clenched his jaw but walked away. Not yet. He needed to see more. By 2:15, Zane was visibly struggling. He dropped a tray of glasses, apologized, and crouched to clean them up. Heather shouted from across the kitchen, That's coming out of your pay. Travis stepped in. Let me help, he said, kneeling beside him. Zane shook his head. Don't. You'll get in trouble. Doesn't matter. They cleaned up together. When Travis stood, he turned and scanned the room. Heather was watching, still smirking. That was it. Travis wiped his hands, walked to the break room, and pulled out his phone. He called his assistant. "Tell the district manager I'm pulling Store 11 staff files. And I want Heather off the floor by tomorrow." He returned to the dish pit and pulled Zane aside. "You're not working the rest of the day.
Sit down.
Drink water. I'll cover." Zane looked panicked. "No, I can't. I need the shift. I'm already behind on rent." Travis took a breath. "Listen, I'm not Kyle. My name's Travis Gentry. I own this place." Zane froze. Heather, who had walked in just in time to hear it, burst into laughter. "You?
Come on.
You're the new guy who couldn't figure out the mop bucket." Travis turned slowly.
No.
"I'm the guy who signs your paycheck." Heather's smile vanished. A quiet fell over the break room. "You're lying," she said, but her voice cracked. Travis reached into his bag, pulled out his wallet, and handed her his ID. Her eyes darted across it. She paled. "I've been working undercover at different stores," he said, "to see what's really going on. And what I saw here, how you treat people, is not okay." Heather opened her mouth, but Travis cut her off. "You laughed when I said someone was sick. You threatened to dock pay over an accident. You've created a place where people are afraid to speak up. That ends today." Zane sat in stunned silence. Heather's face turned red. "I didn't mean." "You meant every word," Travis said. "You're done here." He turned to Zane. "You'll still get paid for today. You're going home now. And tomorrow, I want you at the clinic. We'll cover it." Zane blinked. "Wait. Seriously?" Travis nodded.
Yeah.
"And after that, we're going to talk about your future here." Zane slowly stood, still processing. Heather stormed out. No one stopped her. Later that day, Travis gathered the remaining crew. "I know this is sudden, but things are changing. You all deserve better. I'm staying here for the rest of the week. We'll talk one-on-one. And no more fear. If you've got something to say, say it." There were a few stunned faces. Then someone clapped. Another followed. A weight lifted. Travis looked around. He'd seen enough to know where the rot was. And now, he was ready to cut it out. Travis returned to the store the next morning without the disguise. No hoodie, no fake name tag, just a button-down shirt, and the kind of presence that made people straighten up without knowing why. He walked through the front entrance this time. The shift lead, a young woman with a pixie cut and a name tag that read Jamie, looked up from the register and froze. "Morning," Travis said. "Could you gather the team in the back? I'll need 15 minutes of everyone's time before we open." Jamie nodded and disappeared behind the kitchen doors, leaving Travis alone in the dining area. The space looked different now. The chairs were still the same, the walls still painted in that generic warm tan, but knowing what had been happening behind the scenes gave everything a different weight. 5 minutes later, the staff filed into the break room. Some looked confused, others tense. Zane wasn't among them. Travis stood in front of a dry erase board marked with old prep schedules. He didn't need to introduce himself again. Word had spread. "I know the last 24 hours were unexpected," he said, his voice calm but direct. "I'm here because I've been concerned about what's going on in some of our stores. Store 11 included. What I saw here made it clear we've got problems we can't ignore." No one interrupted. A few exchanged glances. "I'm not here to fire anyone else. If something's keeping you from doing your job well, or making this place worse than it needs to be, I want to know." A man in his early 30s leaned against the wall, with his arms crossed. The name tag read Dennis. He spoke up without hesitation. "Are we actually allowed to say what we think? Because last time someone tried that, they got their hours cut." Travis nodded. "You are now. And if anyone retaliates after this conversation, they won't be working here anymore." That prompted a visible shift. Shoulders unwound. People looked at one another, waiting to see who would speak next. It was Jamie who stepped forward. "There's a list in the office. Heather used to keep track of people who called out more than once a month. She'd mark a red next to their name. If you had 2 dots, your hours dropped. Didn't matter why you called out. Travis raised his eyebrows. Was this documented anywhere officially? No, Jamie said. It was just something she did. Quietly. Another worker, a guy named Luis, from the prep station added, she used to let her cousin clock in and leave for 2 hours. Still paid her full shift. Travis didn't write anything down. He just listened, taking it in. All right, he said after a pause. Here's what we're going to do. We're bringing in an interim manager I trust. You'll meet her tomorrow. In the meantime, if anyone feels unsafe or unfairly treated, you come to me or call my assistant directly. No more unofficial lists. No more games. He waited, giving space. Then added, I'm also reviewing pay structures across all locations. If someone's been shorted, we'll fix it. The staff seemed unsure how to respond. They weren't used to this kind of attention from the top. But they listened. As the meeting ended, Travis asked Jamie to stay behind. How long were you working under Heather? He asked.
Almost a year, she said.
Did you ever report what was happening? Jamie hesitated.
Once.
I emailed the district manager after she docked someone's hours for being 5 minutes late. He said he'd look into it, and that was the last I heard. Travis exhaled. That's going to change. I'm removing that district manager. Starting today. Jamie looked stunned. You're promoting someone internally for the interim role? She asked. I am. But not from this store. I want someone with fresh eyes. Eventually, we'll find a permanent manager, and if you're interested in that track, I'd like to talk more. Jamie didn't answer right away, but her expression changed, less guarded, more alert. I'd be open to that, she said.
Good.
Let's keep the line open. After she left, Travis stepped outside and called his assistant. Bring in Dana from store 3. She's steady, and she doesn't let things slide. Have her here by tomorrow morning. He wasn't done for the day. That afternoon, Travis drove across town to the address listed on Zane's emergency contact form. A weathered apartment building with chipped paint and a single buzzer panel by the door. He pressed the button labeled 1B. No answer. He pressed again, longer this time. A voice finally cut through the static. Hello.
Zane?
It's Travis Gentry. A pause. From the restaurant?
Yes.
I wanted to check on you. Mind if I come up? The door buzzed open. Travis took the stairs 2 at a time. Zane's apartment was small. Sparse furniture, a futon, a plastic table, a couple of mismatched chairs. A box of tissues sat on the counter, half full. The air smelled faintly of menthol and ginger tea. Zane looked tired but upright. He wore a sweatshirt and jeans, and his skin had more color than the day before. You didn't have to come all the way out here, he said, stepping aside. I did, Travis said. I wanted to talk. You feeling any better? A little. Went to urgent care this morning. They said it's a respiratory infection. Gave me antibiotics. I'll be good in a few days.
Good.
We covered the visit.
Yeah.
The clinic said it was taken care of when I checked in. I didn't know that was even possible. Travis sat down at the table. Let me ask you something. How long have you been working at the store? About 8 months. I started after my dad passed. Needed to help with rent. My mom's got some health stuff, so it's mostly on me. Travis nodded. You ever worked in food service before? Not really. Just picked it up as I went. I like it, though. I like talking to people. And I'm fast on the line now. You ever think about moving up? Zane hesitated. Honestly, I didn't think anyone would take me seriously. Heather said I was too soft. Said customers liked me, but that I'd fall apart under pressure. Travis leaned back in the chair. She was wrong. And she's gone. Zane blinked. I'm putting together a training track for team leads. People who've shown they care about the job and the people around them. You're on that list. If you want to be. I don't know what to say, Zane said, his voice quiet. Don't say anything yet. Just think about it. Travis stood and offered a hand. Zane shook it. You'll be on paid leave until you're cleared to come back. No loss in hours. And when you return, we'll talk more. Zane nodded slowly. Thanks. Really? As Travis stepped out into the fading light of evening, he pulled out his phone again. Set up a meeting with HR, he told his assistant. I want a full audit on how sick time is handled across all locations. If we say we're a people-first company, we need to prove it. He got into his car and sat for a moment, watching the windows of the apartment building light up one by one. He'd bought the chain because it had potential, but potential meant nothing without truth. And now that he'd finally seen it for himself, really seen it, he knew exactly where to start. The next morning, Dana stepped into store 11 at exactly 7:45. She didn't waste time with introductions. She called the kitchen crew and front-of-house staff into the prep area and began with instructions, not questions. Clean slate. That's what this week is, she said, looking each person in the eye without raising her voice. We're not here to talk about what went wrong. We're here to show what right looks like. She handed everyone laminated training checklists and a revised daily task sheet. The old ones, taped unevenly to the wall and stained with grease, were already in the trash. Travis stood quietly to the side, out of uniform now, watching the shift unfold. He wasn't intervening unless necessary. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about the culture that had been allowed to root itself deep into the floorboards. By the time the lunch rush began, the difference was already visible. Dana had reassigned prep duties, shifted the entire register layout, and brought in a long-overdue replacement for the broken fryer filter. She didn't micromanage, but she noticed everything. Travis waited until the lull after the rush to speak with her in the office. I'm seeing the pieces move, he said, leaning against the filing cabinet. Dana didn't look up from the schedule she was finalizing. They're not the problem, she said. They're responsive. They've just been taught to brace instead of build. He crossed his arms. You think it's salvageable? She nodded once. If we keep the pressure consistent. But you need to make an example that sticks. Something bigger than just pulling a manager. Travis considered that. What do you have in mind? Put someone from this crew into management training. People need to see that the ceiling's real. Not just a rumor you dangle when you're short-staffed. He didn't respond right away. The idea wasn't new, but the timing mattered now more than ever. He tapped his fingers against the cabinet once, then pushed off and left her to her work. That afternoon, he drove across town again and walked into the corporate office. The building wasn't large, just 2 floors, open layout, glass-walled conference rooms. His assistant had already gathered the files he asked for: employee performance evaluations, incident reports, and shift-level turnover data. What stood out was how often complaints were logged without any follow-up. Most notes ended with phrases like "issue acknowledged" or "coaching provided," but no one had tracked outcomes. In particular, one regional HR partner had signed off on 5 unresolved grievances, 2 of which came from Store 11. Travis didn't call a meeting or send a memo. He walked directly to that HR partner's cubicle. I want to know why none of these were followed through, he said, holding up the printed files. The woman at the desk looked up, startled. I thought those were closed. The district manager said the employees didn't want to escalate. Travis placed the papers on her desk. That's not what I asked. I asked why you didn't follow through. She hesitated. Honestly? We were told to defer to the store manager when possible. So we logged it and moved on. By who? She looked uncomfortable. Regional ops. There was a memo last year. He nodded once. Send me that memo. And from now on, if something gets logged and no one follows up within 72 hours, I want that flagged to me directly. She opened her mouth, probably to ask if he was serious. But when she saw the look on his face, She just nodded. Back at store 11, Travis returned just before close. Zane had texted Dana, had given him the go-ahead to come in for a short shift, just to ease back in. When Travis walked in, he found him restocking cups near the soda fountain, more alert than he'd ever seen him. "You didn't have to show up tonight," Zane said, straightening up. "I wanted to see how things feel now that the air's cleared a bit," Travis replied. Zane nodded toward the kitchen. "It's different. People are talking more. And Dana's
sharp.
She doesn't miss anything." Travis smiled faintly. "That's why she's here." Zane hesitated. "She mentioned something about leadership training. Said I should apply." Travis leaned against the counter. "You should. I don't know if I'm ready. Most people aren't, when the opportunity comes." But she's not just handing that suggestion out. Zane looked down at the stack of lids he was organizing. "What if I mess it up? Then you learn and keep going. But this place needs people who care. That's what you've already proven." Zane gave a cautious nod. "All right. I'll try." They didn't say anything else for a while. Just stood there while the staff cleaned down the kitchen. The atmosphere was quieter than usual, but not heavy-focused. Later that night, Travis went back to his hotel and pulled up the chain's internal performance dashboard. He added a new metric, anonymous staff satisfaction scores, to be gathered quarterly, location by location. Then he drafted a new policy. Every staff-level complaint must be resolved within 72 hours, with visible documentation. He didn't send it yet. He'd wait until the board meeting next week to roll it out chain-wide. The next morning, he returned to store 11 again, not undercover, not observing. This time, he stepped behind the counter and grabbed a rag. Jamie glanced at him. "You sure you want to do that?" "I'm already here," he said. "Might as well help open." She handed him the key to the register drawer. "Don't mess it up. Dana's watching." Travis chuckled. "Good. Someone should be." That day, he worked the line. Not for show. Not to test anyone. Just to remind himself what this business was built on. A few customers gave him a second glance, probably recognizing his face from the website or old investor videos. But no one said anything. Around 1 o'clock, an elderly man walked in and sat alone near the window. Zane approached with a tray of food, even though he wasn't on server duty. Travis watched as the man looked confused, then surprised, then relieved. Zane sat next to him for a moment, pointing at the menu, helping him sort through what he'd ordered. Turns out the man had been there before, and Zane remembered him. Remembered that he couldn't see well and usually needed help. No one had told Zane to do it. He just did. Travis didn't interrupt. He didn't need to. Instead, he walked back to the kitchen, grabbed the shift notes clipboard, and added a single line beneath the daily comment section. "This place is only as strong as the people who carry it. Let's not forget who they are." Travis didn't return to store 11 for nearly 2 weeks. Not because he lost interest, far from it, but because he believed in getting out of the way once the right people were in place. Dana kept him updated with facts, not fluff. Absentee rates had dropped. Frontline turnover slowed. Customers were leaving longer, more detailed reviews instead of just stars. But what mattered more were the things that wouldn't show up on a dashboard. Who stayed late without being asked, who started asking questions during team meetings, who looked less tense walking through the door. When he did return, it was on a Tuesday afternoon, unannounced. The lunch rush had passed. The dining room was half full, mostly students and a few office workers tapping away at their laptops. Travis walked through the front with his sleeves rolled up, no clipboard, no entourage. He scanned the counter briefly, then moved toward the back. Dana spotted him by the soda station. "You're late," she said without looking away from the vendor invoice she was reviewing. "I figured you'd have things under control by now," Travis said. "I do," she replied. "But I left a spot open on the shift board. Thought you might want to see how it feels to be useful again." There was no sarcasm in her tone, just a dry edge that made Travis grin. He nodded and followed her into the kitchen. Zane was at the grill, his hair tucked under a fresh cap, working with steady rhythm. He didn't notice Travis at first. He was too focused on plating 2 orders during a short spike in tickets. Jamie was calling times from the monitor, and Luis was assembling trays at the pass.
No yelling. No tensión. Just movement that made sense.
Dana leaned in quietly. He's running lead on the evening shift next Friday. Trial run. He's nervous. He'll do fine, Travis said. I know. He didn't interrupt the flow. Instead, he stepped into dry storage and waited. After 10 minutes, Zane came in to grab a new box of gloves. He blinked when he saw Travis. Didn't expect to see you today. Didn't plan on being here. Just checking in. Zane leaned against the shelf for a second. It's been different. In a good way. You settling into the leadership prep? Trying to. Dana's been throwing curveballs during shift audits. Last time, she stopped mid-service and made me reassign stations on the fly. Travis raised an eyebrow. What did you do? Swapped Jamie to Expo, pulled Luis from prep, and jumped on register myself. We caught up in about 6 minutes. Not bad. Zane looked down, then back up. Can I ask something? Of course. That first day when I was sick. What made you step in? I'd been watching for a while, Travis said, looking for signs. The truth is, you were the only one who didn't treat me like a burden. That told me everything I needed. Zane nodded slowly. I've been thinking about that day a lot. I used to wonder if helping people actually mattered. My dad always said the world pays attention to the loud ones, not the kind ones. What do you think now? I think maybe kindness doesn't always win, but it leaves a longer mark. They didn't speak for a few seconds. Then Zane straightened up and grabbed the box of gloves. You sticking around for dinner service? Only if you're cooking. Zane chuckled. Then grab an apron. By the time the sun dipped behind the buildings across the street, the dinner rush had kicked in. Travis stayed near the front, helping Jamie with register turnover and wiping down tables between customers. He wasn't trying to make a point. He just didn't want to forget what it felt like to be part of the rhythm. Near closing, he pulled Dana aside. I want to bring this store into the mentor program we're building. Dana raised an eyebrow. You're creating a mentor program?
Yeah.
Pairing high-functioning stores with ones that need support. Peer-to-peer, not top-down. Who's the mentor in this case? I want Jamie and Zane to lead it. Together. Dana considered that. You think they're ready? I think they've already started.
They just don't know it yet.
I'll prep them. As they parted, Travis walked over to one of the booths near the window, where the last customer was finishing a sandwich. It was the same older man Zane had helped earlier that month. He was folding a napkin slowly, hands trembling slightly from age. Travis approached. Everything all right today? The man looked up. Better than all right. That young man remembered. I don't see well. Went out of his way. Again. He's good at that. I don't know who hires your people, but you've got something rare here. Travis smiled. We're trying to build something that lasts. The man nodded, then stood, tucking the napkin into his coat pocket like it meant something. When the store finally closed for the night, Travis gathered the team near the kitchen. I won't take up much of your time, he said, but I wanted to say something before I go. Everyone quieted. A store is just a building.
A name. A logo.
What makes it something better is what happens inside. 2 months ago, this place was surviving. Now it's leading. And that's because of you. He looked at Zane, then Jamie, then Luis. Starting next quarter, Store 11 will be part of a pilot mentorship program. You'll be sharing what you've built here with other locations. Not because it's perfect, but because it's working. Jamie blinked in surprise. Luis scratched his head. Zane didn't say anything, but his jaw tightened just slightly. You've earned this. And we're not just watching. We're following your lead. He stepped back. All right. Go home. You've got a store to run tomorrow. As the team dispersed, Zane came up beside him. You really think we can teach other stores? I think you already are. They just haven't seen it yet. Travis left through the back door this time not because he was hiding but because it was quiet. As he walked to his car, he passed the alley where he'd stood that first morning, in the cold, pretending to be someone else. Now, he knew better. Leadership didn't live in titles or corner offices. It lived in the quiet moments when someone offered water to a sick coworker, when a shift lead stayed late to train someone without being asked, when a kid with too much on his shoulders still chose to care. That was the kind of company he wanted to run. And now, he knew exactly who to trust with it.